The place I want to start is back at the basics of what is the internet. Now, I'm going to get into some slightly technical stuff here. You don't have to know it all, but I want you to understand it. And the reason is, if you have a car and you know nothing about the car, it is easier to rip you off. But if you have a car and you know where the engine is and the transmission and the battery, even if you don't work on it, you'll be smarter than the other person. And that's some of the questions you asked about the website. Get here. The first thing is, what happens when you search the internet? What actually occurs? So when you put in www.website.com, what occurs? Well, what occurs is that little address goes out into the internet and it connects up with something called domain name servers. And those domain name servers take that address and they're looking for a unique number associated with that address. They may pass it onto some other domain name servers to narrow down the search. But when they match your name up with a unique number, it then goes to that unique place with that unique number that is a physical hard drive or computer somewhere out in the world. And it generally will look for a beginning piece of instructions called index.html. Now, all of this is evolving, but this is the fundamentals, where it all came from. And index.html is the first page of the website, is then sent all the way back to your computer with a whole bunch of instructions, like a recipe, and then it's translated into what you see on the screen. Now, why is that profound? See, the web browser is what made this all possible. The web browser is an interpreter that takes HTML instructions and converts it to pictures and words. Why is that a big deal? Someone give me an answer, other than no. Yeah. Why is that important?
HTML is difficult to read.
The what?
HTML is difficult to read. I mean,
yes, it would be hard to read the instructions, right? But what would they have to send over the internet if they didn't send a bunch of instructions? They'd have to send the whole picture, the whole page, everything together. So what they do is they build what the page is going to be with instructions, send it over the internet, and then those instructions are translated and builds the page you see. This is the core of all this. The internet existed even before Al Gore invented it. It's a joke. The internet existed before web browsers and was highly used by industry and government and places like that. But it wasn't easy for the rest of us to use because it was just command lines and instructions. So I want to show you something. We're going to go to a website. Here's the home page of my website. That's what we see. But what came to my computer is this stuff. Can you see this stuff? These are the commands. This is HTML that came to the computer and their instructions. This is the title. I want you to put this on the page. Here's a picture. Place it there. Blah, 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 blah. Kind of like how many people saw The Matrix? Remember how you saw the stuff coming down the screen? And some of the guys could actually read what that was? Well, that's what someone who writes native code for the internet does. So, one way to build a website is learn all this and write this code. That's what a That's what a high-paid web developer does. They actually know this, write it, and understand it. I want you to just learn enough to appreciate it so that if you want to learn more, you can, but I'm going to show you a lot easier ways tonight to work with it. So HTML Hypertext markup language is the original instructions that make up the web. It's a programming language that's sent through the wires and internet, and then it comes to your web browser, and the terminology is, it is an interpreter. Anyone ever done programming together? Anyone who's done programming before? Right. So a program is written and then either interpreted or compiled. You don't need to know what that is. I'm just giving some terms so you want to see them. The web browser is an interpreter that translates it into something you can see. And now we can have audio and video included. This is interpreted by the browser, and that's why, have you ever noticed on different web browsers, things sometimes look different? If you're in AOL, it looks one way. If you're on Internet Explorer, it looks another way. And if you're on Firefox, it looks another way. That's because they're all interpreting this code and displaying it on the screen.